You want to do something extraordinary. Build a business, write a book, transform your body, master a skill, something that feels impossible from where you're standing right now. And you're probably approaching it wrong. Most people set massive goals and then try to match them with massive effort. They go all in, burn the boats, work 18-hour days, sacrifice everything, and they burn out in 3 months. Goal abandoned, dream deferred, again. The Stoics had a different approach, and it's counterintuitive. They didn't focus on the goal at all. They focused on the system, the daily practice, the process, and they let the outcomes take care of themselves. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up thinking, today I must be a great emperor. He woke up thinking, today I must act with wisdom, justice, courage, and discipline. He focused on the virtues, the practices, the daily habits. The greatness emerged from the consistency. Epictetus taught, don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do happen, and you will be at peace. This sounds like giving up on goals. It's actually the opposite. It's giving up on attachment to outcomes while maintaining total commitment to process. Here's the framework. You identify the outcome you want, build the business, write the book, whatever, but then you immediately shift focus. You stop thinking about the outcome and start thinking about the identity. Not, I want to write a book, but I am a writer. Not, I want to build a business, but I am an entrepreneur. Not, I want to get fit, but I'm an athlete. This isn't positive affirmations. This is identity-based action. Because once you've decided who you are, the behaviors follow naturally. Writers write every day, not because they feel like it, because that's what writers do. The Stoics understood that you become what you repeatedly do, not what you wish, not what you intend, what you actually do. Your actions create your identity, and your identity drives your actions. It's a feedback loop, so you start small, ridiculously small. You want to write a book? You write 1 paragraph a day, every single day, no exceptions, not a chapter, not a page, 1 paragraph. That's achievable. That's sustainable. That's something you can do on your worst day. Seneca wrote, life is long if you know how to use it. Most people waste years waiting for motivation, waiting for inspiration, waiting for the perfect time, waiting to feel ready. The Stoics didn't wait, they started with whatever they had, wherever they were. You don't need perfect conditions, you need consistency, because consistency compounds. 1 paragraph a day is 365 paragraphs a year. That's a book, not a perfect book, but a finished book, which is infinitely better than the perfect book you never wrote. This is the Stoic concept of katameros, in accordance with nature. Things grow gradually. Trees don't shoot up overnight, muscles don't develop from 1 workout, skills don't appear from 1 practice session. Everything worthwhile takes time, but here's where people fail. They start strong, motivated, excited. They do too much too soon. They write for 4 hours, they work out for 2 hours. They make massive changes to their entire life, and it's not sustainable. Your motivation is highest at the beginning. Your discipline is weakest. You need to design your practice for when you have no motivation, for when discipline is depleted, for when you're tired and stressed and don't feel like it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He fought wars, he dealt with plague and political crisis. And still, he wrote in his journal every day. How? Because his practice was simple enough to maintain even in chaos. He didn't need perfect conditions. He needed 10 minutes and a stylus. Your practice needs to be the same. So simple that you can do it on your worst day. So small that you can maintain it during crisis. So achievable that you have no excuse not to do it. But here's the secret. You never just do the minimum. The minimum is your floor, not your ceiling. Most days, once you start, you'll do more. The writer who commits to 1 paragraph often writes 3. The athlete who commits to 10 push-ups often does 50. The hard part isn't doing the work, it's starting the work. And a small commitment makes starting easy. There's no resistance to 1 paragraph, no intimidation in 10 push-ups, no overwhelm in 10 minutes of practice. The Stoics called this making progress, not giant leaps, not dramatic transformations, steady, consistent improvement, tiny gains that compound over time into extraordinary results. Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly. Think about that. Your goal feels overwhelming because you're imagining the finished product, the successful business, the published book, the transformed body, and comparing it to where you are now. But that's not how it works. The business starts with 1 customer. The book starts with 1 word. The body starts with 1 workout. You're not trying to cross the entire ocean today. You're trying to take 1 stroke, and then another, and another. This removes the pressure. You're not succeeding or failing based on whether you achieve the big goal. You're succeeding or failing based on whether you did today's practice. Did you write your paragraph? Did you make your sales calls? Did you do your workout? If yes, you succeeded, regardless of results, because results are outside your control. You control the input, not the output. You control showing up and doing the work. You don't control whether it sells, whether people like it, whether it works immediately. The Stoic move is to detach from outcomes while staying completely committed to actions. You care deeply about your daily practice, you're rigorous about it, but you hold the results loosely, because the results will come if the practice is right. Think about farming. The farmer doesn't control whether it rains, whether there's drought, whether pests come, all outside their control, but they control whether they plant seeds, whether they tend the soil, whether they show up every day and do the work, and if they do that, harvest usually comes. Not guaranteed, but likely. And if it doesn't, they have the satisfaction of knowing they did everything within their power. They maintain their character regardless of outcomes. You need the same mindset. Your job is to show up, to do the work, to maintain the practice, to act in accordance with your values. The results, those are up to fate, the universe, God, whatever framework you use. This isn't passive, it's the opposite. It's taking total responsibility for what you control and releasing everything else. Most people do the reverse. They obsess about results they can't control and neglect the actions they can. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." Same with your goals. Waste no more time imagining what success looks like. Do the daily work. Be the person who achieves that goal through consistent action. Your challenge: identify the massive goal you want to achieve. Now break it down. What's the smallest daily action that would move you toward it? Something you could do in 15 minutes. Something you could maintain even on your worst day. Then commit to that action every single day for the next 90 days, no exceptions, no negotiation. You do it regardless of how you feel, regardless of whether you see results, regardless of whether anyone notices. You're not doing it for results, you're doing it to become the person who does this work, to build the identity, to prove to yourself that you keep commitments to yourself, to train your discipline, to compound small actions into extraordinary outcomes. The Stoics achieved remarkable things, not through superhuman effort, through consistent, disciplined action aligned with their principles, through showing up every day, through focusing on process over outcome, through caring about what they controlled and accepting what they didn't. You can do the same, starting today, not with a massive overhaul of your life, with one small action, repeated daily, compounding over time, until the impossible becomes inevitable, until the extraordinary becomes your new normal, until the goal you couldn't imagine achieving becomes the life you actually live. This is the Stoic way, not dramatic, not flashy, just consistent, just disciplined, just effective, and ultimately unstoppable.